like they're jury members in a trial where disorganization is punishable by death, arranging them with the surgical precision of someone defusing a bomb made entirely of office supplies. It's Tuesday morning, and somehow a crooked sticky note feels like a personal insult from the universe, making your heart race like you're being chased by wolves. Except the wolves are just slightly misaligned desk accessories. This isn't productivity. This is your trauma brain hosting its own private Olympics, where the gold medal event is most anxious person reorganizing the same drawer for the 7th time this week. Here's what's actually happening in that beautiful disaster you call a nervous system. You've convinced yourself you're just naturally detail-oriented, but what you actually are is hypervigilant. With a subscription to Organizational Anxiety Monthly, you notice everything with the intensity of a detective investigating their own potential murder. How your coworkers left eyebrow twitches when they lie about weekend plans. How the office printer makes that specific death rattle exactly 47 seconds before it commits mechanical suicide. You call this being observant, but psychologists call it a trauma response disguised as workplace efficiency. Studies show people with adverse childhood experiences develop hypervigilance as a survival mechanism, with cortisol levels during mundane tasks higher than most people experience during actual emergencies. That desk organization ritual isn't about productivity. It's your nervous system treating staplers like evidence in a cold case that was closed when you were 8. Let's discuss your most embarrassing habit that you think nobody notices, but absolutely everyone does. You apologize to inanimate objects more than you apologize to actual humans you've genuinely wronged. Bump into a door frame. Sorry, wall, drop your phone. Sorry, gravity, for existing incorrectly around you. You're running a full diplomatic mission with your environment while your actual relationships survive on whatever emotional energy remains after you've negotiated peace treaties with your desk lamp. This is fawning, a trauma response where your brain has decided that keeping everything happy, including objects with no feelings, is preferable to risking any form of conflict. Research shows this develops in children who grew up where love felt conditional and approval was a moving target requiring constant performance reviews. You're not considerate. You're a hostage negotiator in your own life, trying to prevent your stapler from developing abandonment issues. Now let's examine your favorite time-wasting hobby, crafting emails like you're drafting the Constitution of professional communication. You spend more time editing "thanks for your time" than Shakespeare spent on entire sonnets. 17 drafts later, you're exploring every possible interpretation of workplace gratitude like you're defending your PhD thesis on the inherent power dynamics of saying please in Comic Sans versus Times New Roman. You're not being thorough. You're building a fortress of words to protect yourself from imaginary criticism by people who probably skimmed your message while eating lunch and forgot it existed. Studies on developmental trauma show children from unpredictable environments develop this overcompensation pattern as insurance against rejection. You're not detail-oriented. You're running a marketing campaign for your right to send basic correspondence. That color-coded filing system isn't organization. It's your brain screaming, "Please don't think I'm chaos incarnate," to a universe that's mostly not paying attention to your filing methodology. Here's the bonus psychological layer for our neurodivergent friends. You might be masking ADHD with obsessive organization, turning your desk into a museum exhibition titled "Things I Can Actually Control Today." Your brain craves stimulation, but punishes itself for seeking it. So you've created this elaborate performance where being perfectly organized proves you're not the chaotic mess your neural wiring suggests you might be. These aren't personality quirks you inherited from some mythical organized gene. They're survival strategies your developing brain crafted when the world felt like a pop quiz you couldn't study for. This is developmental trauma wearing a business casual outfit and carrying a label maker. Research from recent studies shows that 68% of adults with childhood instability carry these hypervigilant patterns into professional life, turning routine tasks into emotional obstacle courses with stakes that don't actually exist but feel apocalyptic anyway. Your brain isn't naturally organized. It's brilliantly adapted to circumstances that this stopped being relevant around the time you learned multiplication tables. But nobody told your nervous system the emergency was over. The plot thickens because apparently your inner critic has a PhD in impostor syndrome and won't stop lecturing. You feel like you accidentally walked into someone else's life, and everyone's eventually going to realize you don't have credentials to exist here professionally. You receive recognition for good work, and your immediate response isn't pride. It's panic about when they'll discover you've been Googling how to adult in meetings without crying for the past decade. That's not modesty, that's imposter syndrome, powered by premium trauma fuel. Your developing brain learned that visibility equals vulnerability. So every achievement feels like performing a high wire act over a pit of potential humiliation while wearing shoes that don't fit. Studies show 89% of high achievers experience this. But for trauma survivors, it's not just self-doubt. It's a full-scale identity crisis happening in conference rooms where everyone else seems to belong effortlessly. Here's the emotional layer that's going to make you want to reorganize your feelings into alphabetical order. You deflect genuine emotional conversations like you're Neo-dodging bullets in the Matrix, redirecting sincere concern with humor or logistics, faster than a politician avoiding direct questions. Someone asks how you're really doing, and suddenly you're delivering a presentation about your weekend cleaning schedule complete with charts and efficiency metrics. This isn't being private, it's emotional avoidance, disguised as productivity culture, wearing a motivational poster as camouflage. Research shows children from emotionally chaotic environments learn to suppress vulnerability because showing authentic feelings felt like handing someone a loaded weapon and hoping they wouldn't use it. You're not reserved. You're protecting a heart that's still learning. It's safe to be seen without perfect packaging and a comprehensive action plan. But here's the beautiful, twisted revelation that's going to flip this entire narrative like a psychological snow globe. Designed by anxiety engineers, these behaviors aren't character defects requiring elimination. They're evidence of a brilliant mind that learned to thrive in suboptimal conditions with the creativity of a MacGyver episode. You're not broken. You're adapted with Swiss watch precision by engineers who specialized in emotional survival architecture. That hypervigilance that exhausts you also makes you incredibly intuitive and empathetic. You're the person who notices when someone's struggling before they do, who creates safe spaces without realizing it. The fawning response that has you apologizing to office equipment means you're naturally gifted at reading social dynamics and making environments feel welcoming. That analytical communication style that drives you crazy also makes you an exceptional problem solver, because you consider every angle, every misunderstanding, every emotional landmine that could detonate someone's day. Your trauma didn't just create coping mechanisms, it forged superpowers that you've been treating like kryptonite because nobody taught you the difference between surviving and thriving, between adapting and healing. Those perfectly aligned pins aren't just about organization. They're monuments to a human being who survived unpredictability by mastering the art of control, one office supply at a time. That obsessive email editing isn't neurosis. It's evidence of someone who learned that words matter, that details can prevent disasters, that careful communication can build bridges instead of burning them. You're not weird for needing visual harmony in your workspace. You're brilliant for creating order in the only space you can fully control, while learning to trust that the rest of life doesn't require the same level of micromanagement. So the next time you find yourself apologizing to your computer for closing too many tabs or conducting a pen orchestra with the precision of a trauma survivor who learned that chaos equals danger, remember this: you're not failing at being normal. You're succeeding at being magnificently, brilliantly human in a way that transforms survival into art. That desk organization ritual isn't about the desk. It's about a warrior who learned to create beauty in chaos, safety in uncertainty, and meaning in the mundane details that others overlook. Your trauma didn't break you. It taught you to conduct symphonies with office supplies. And honestly, that's not weird. That's witchcraft disguised as workplace productivity. And you're the most powerful witch in the cubicle kingdom.